Kia ora everybody. It's Saturday, 23 April 2022. This is Tuariki Delamere, former Minister of Immigration, currently Principal Consultant and Managing Director of TDA Immigration. Now, most of you will have received already an email from Immigration New Zealand asking you to upload some documentary evidence to support your 2021 residence visa application. So today I'm going to discuss what's next. What happens once you've uploaded those documents? Okay, here's today's agenda. I'll start off with an introduction of where we're at. Then I'll continue into partnership, then skilled, then scarce occupation, a cover letter, a 2021 interim visa, and close up on police checks and medicals. So, introduction, here we go. So far, about 70% of the phase 1 applications have now been approved. And that was totally expected because all of those people, almost all of those people, were skilled migrant applicants who lodged their applications and all the evidence 2 to 3 years ago. And so pretty much all of them were applying under the well-settled category, and immigration doesn't need any evidence for that. They can sort that out through their computer system. The approval rate from non-risk countries is actually over 80% of approvals. And this is because the countries that are pulling the numbers down, if you like, are the identified risk countries, such as China, Russia, and Sri Lanka, where the security checks will take quite a long time. Now, moving into partnership, first let's look at those secondary applicant partners who already have a partnership visa. All you're going to be asked to do is update the evidence of genuine stable relationship and living together. You may have been approved last year for your partnership temporary visa, so all you have to do is just update that. And the way to do that, copies of your latest bills, your bank accounts, etc., with your home address on it. Also, I've been telling my clients that one of the things they should consider doing, and so far they're all doing it, is take a photo of yourselves outside your home, hopefully with the address on your door or on the letterbox, and holding a copy of the latest New Zealand Herald front page, hold it up, sort of like this, because that will be the date. And so that's indisputable proof that at least you're together, as at the date of the newspaper you're holding up. Now, for those partners, the secondary applicants who don't have a partnership visa already, you're going to have to go through the whole rigmarole of providing substantive evidence to prove your relationship. But again, you're going to have to do the genuine stable relationship and living together, but in detail, starting from your marriage certificate. If you've got a marriage certificate or civil union, you have to prove you've been living together for at least 12 months. And so you'll need support from your parents, other relatives, friends, employers, confirming your relationship. And again, living together, get the photo, get your bills, bank accounts, but as I said with the others, get a photo of yourselves outside your home showing the address, the New Zealand Herald. If you haven't been living together, it's almost certain that Immigration New Zealand will ask you to withdraw your partner from the application, because you must have been together for 12 months. Now, those of you who applied under skilled, those of you well settled, it's easy. There's no evidence to provide for that. Immigration New Zealand can tell that from their computers. But skilled, you need to have evidence of earning $27 an hour. Now, Immigration New Zealand is well aware that some applicants out there have persuaded their employers to pay $27 an hour after the 30 September 2021 announcement. Now, and if you've done that properly in terms of documentation, you'll probably get away with it, but they're looking for it. Because on 29 September 2021, you need to be earning $27 an hour. And again, when you lodged your application, and you should still be earning $27 an hour today. Now let's look at the actual evidence you should be providing. Of course, your employment agreement as at 29 September 2021, you should provide that. Your pay slips, starting from the last week of September, 29 September 21, showing your lodgement date and your current date. Ideally, you'll show all the pay slips for the last, 6 or 7 months, but at least those 3. But let's be clear about these documents. Employment agreement pay slips, they can be faked, okay? Just write them up and sign them. The real proof comes in your bank statements. For the 29 September, your lodgement date, your current date. Immigration New Zealand will be checking that your net pay was deposited for those pay periods as per your pay slip. If they don't match, you're going to have some problems. They may also ask you for your IRD tax records. If you have them, submit them from September through to the current date. For those of you who are applying for scarce occupation, you need to provide evidence that your occupation is scarce. Now, this is an interesting one because the 2021 residence visa policy makes no reference to ANSCO. Therefore, under this policy, these instructions, ANSCO is not a relevant document. But obviously, it's a very useful reference tool to start with because it is still part of the immigration process for the skilled migrant applications. But ANSCO is not the be-all and end-all, and as I said, it's not part of the 2021 residence visa policy. So if you can't make a good match-up with ANSCO, and hopefully you can because that's the easiest one to put in, then search the internet for job descriptions that match the 2021 residence visa list of scarce occupations and also what you do in your job description. Now, cover letter, I'm big on cover letters, okay? You can just lodge the documents and hope that the immigration officer will understand what you've lodged and work it out for themselves. But I wouldn't take that risk if I was you. You should, in my opinion, a well-written, well set out cover letter submission is very important, where you can explain the relevance of the documents that you're providing. You can do the reconciliations, if you like, with your bank statements and your pay slips. Don't rely on the case officer doing it for you. And also, don't get lulled into a sense of false security because of what you've read about the approval speed of phase 1. Okay, this is going to take time. And I think one of the best ways to speed up the process is that cover letter, because you're saving the case officer a lot of time. Okay, and they'll appreciate that. So that'll speed things up for you. Now let's look at the 2021 interim visas. If you have a temporary visa expiring and you don't have a decision on your 2021 residence visa application, Immigration New Zealand, within the last 7 days of expiring, will automatically grant you a 2021 interim visa. It'll have the same conditions as your current visa. It will be valid for 12 months until your application is either declined, approved, or withdrawn. And if it is declined or withdrawn, that interim visa will expire 2 months from the date of decline or withdrawal. You cannot apply for any other visa once you've been granted a 2021 interim visa. It has no travel conditions, so you can't leave New Zealand and then return. If you want to travel overseas and return to New Zealand later, you must apply for a temporary visa before your current visa expires and before Immigration New Zealand grant you a 2021 interim visa. So if you want to do that, don't wait for the last 7 days, because you may end up with a 2021 interim visa and all of a sudden you can't leave New Zealand. So I suggest you apply probably 2 months before. Remember, once you've been granted a 2021 interim visa, you can't apply for any other type of visa. Moving on to the last section, police checks and medicals. New Zealand police checks. A lot of people think it's going to happen very quickly because they've seen the huge numbers of approvals coming quickly through for the phase 1. But let's be clear about that. The phase 1 applicants have had all the applications for the last 2 years, and the police checks have been done well before, sometime the last 2 years. So there was no problem. But now we've got the phase 2. There's about 67,000 applications. The police are not considering police checks to be a great priority for them, and nor does New Zealand public. So it's likely to be a bottleneck, okay? So that may be one of the reasons for delays. Overseas police checks, if you're not sure, my advice is go get one done. If you're not sure that New Zealand will accept your historical police checks, then go and get it done. I mean, for the sake of a couple $100 or whatever it is, I think you're well advised to do that. Now, medical checks, you may or may not need a medical check, but I know hundreds, thousands of you who've done medical checks. My office is on the corner of Queen Street and Karangahape Road in Auckland. And for about a month every day at the medical centre that's next to us, there would be hundreds lined up doing medical checks. So if you've done one, then make sure it's lodged. I mean, you've done it. Don't wait until you're invited, because those medical checks have a time factor on it. And if you need it and you haven't lodged it, if you've done it, you may end up having to do it again. So if you've done it, lodge it as part of your evidence. Well, everyone, that was a quick breakdown of what I think is going to happen next or will happen next to you. Be careful. Don't rush. When you rush, you make mistakes, okay? Make sure everything is there. Make sure it's relevant. And when you are, then by all means, lodge it. Immigration New Zealand has made it very clear that their priorities for phase 2 will be based on the expiry date of your visas. So I know I read all the different Facebooks and people are saying, wow, it's exciting. My visa expires in July 2024. And I've already got an email. Everyone's got an email. Everyone's been asked to lodge documents. That's not what's important. What's important is when you've been allocated a case officer. And as I said in my other video of a couple of days ago, right now there's 47 case officers trying to process 67,000 phase 2s, okay? It's not going to happen overnight. It'll take time. But don't despair, it's going to happen, okay? Anyway, that's it for today. As always, if you haven't had your booster shot for COVID, please go and get it. Don't forget to keep wearing masks. That's the only way to help stay safe. I mean, today we had the tragic news that 2 young kiddies under the age of 9 have died from COVID. So to all you parents out there, please, please get your children vaccinated, okay? Stay safe. Good night.